Another triggering option for your VBA sub-procedures is to actually place a button on a worksheet. Quite useful if what you're trying to trigger applies to that worksheet rather than to the whole workbook, in which case placing it on the ribbon would be, well, a waste of time because it wouldn't work. So if we want to add it to a button, the first thing we need to do is add a button. So we go to the developer ribbon and choose the insert here in the controls section, and we want a button. The button in the form controls, not the button in the ActiveX controls. So you select the button, click and drag out your button. You'll see it actually even triggers which macro do you want to assign. So I choose my run form and OK. Now the button can be customized to some extent. We can change what it says on it. Change case. Now, whilst you have the button selected, you can resize, move around. But as soon as you click away, the button then becomes active. So if we choose some cells with some text, highlight those cells, and then click our change case button, it triggers our change case run form. Let's choose lowercase, OK, and it changes the selected cells to lowercase. So this is another way of triggering your VBA. Obviously here we're triggering the same little bit of VBA we've done so far, which is the change case procedure. But if the procedure you're trying to trigger really only applies to this sheet, then that's a really good way of triggering it. Because when you're on sheet 2, you can't click that button. It's only on sheet 1. So a good relevant trigger rather than placing it up here in the ribbons or on the quick access toolbar. So you simply bring up the developer ribbon, insert form control, click and drag, assign the macro OK, and then change what it says, because obviously button 2 is hardly helpful, and then click away to reactivate. Now if you want to edit the button again after that, you'll find you can't left click on it, because as you go to it, it wants to effectively activate the button. So you have to right click, from which you can then edit the text, or if you click away and right click back on, assign a different macro. You'll also find that you can format the control, so you can start changing its layout, have a different font size, typeface, color, play with the alignment of the text, the size of the actual button itself. Just controls really where the button sits on the page and whether people can move it. Properties decides whether it moves if people insert cells, etc. Internal margins on the button, and then any alternative text if the page were to be saved in HTML format. So here I've changed the color to red font and slightly bigger. Let's go bold as well. And it goes bigger bold text. I click away, the button then becomes reactivated and triggers our change case procedure. If you want to lose a button, obviously you can't click on them, so you've got to do the right click and then left click to select, and we can just delete. Remembering that that only deletes the actual trigger, in this case the button, not the sub procedure. That's still there and exists in the code until you delete that part of the code.